What's up, team? Tim from OKR Quick Start. One of the biggest challenges that I run into with new businesses exploring OKRs, particularly where they've started and trying to work it out on their own, is they have way too many OKRs. Sometimes they've got 5, sometimes 7, 10, even up to 20. Now, we've got to be realistic here. There's no way can they actually track the progress on those OKRs. It's creating chaos because there's way too many things for people to be working on. There's no way to be actually talking about progress. There is just way too much. Now, what does this mean? Where does this actually come from and how do we solve it? I want to go through that with you today on this video. So, number one, what you typically find when you've got too many OKRs is shock horror, you got too many priorities. Right? If everything's a priority, then nothing's a priority, right? We got to get really crystal clear on what matters most. Some of the times too, we find that things are too granular. We have an objective for every single little project or idea that people are working on, rather than going, what's the real outcome that we're trying to achieve here? And sometimes we also find that we're trying to be everything to everyone for OKRs. We've got lots of little priorities, lots of things to be working on, and we want to make sure that everyone gets a prize. You know, hey, there's Mary over in marketing and she's got this little pet project that needs to be represented at the company OKR level. No, you've got to get focused on what really counts. Now let's explore how we actually whittle down a whole bunch of priorities to something short, sharp, and focused. Now, where most people are comfortable and where they're often thinking is the stuff that we need to do, the initiatives. Now, might be just a bunch of projects, it might be some actions, whatever it might be, it's the list of stuff that you need to do. And most people are really comfortable in this area. And so what we find is people have lots of objectives, and from there, we have lots of OKRs. The problem is you're being too granular in your goal setting. If we pull it up to the layer above, we might be thinking about, okay, what outcomes are we trying to solve for? What things do we want to achieve this quarter? But even then, that's quite broad. You know, there's going to be all these different targets and all these different sort of things. To really get honed in and focused, we need to think about the problems. What problems, if we could solve them, would we love to solve this quarter? And how can we get more focused about those? Now, if I give you a little bit of a real example of what we're going through at the moment as a business, is we're really wanting to build a flourishing customer experience. What that means for us is we want our customers coming in and being part of a broader group where we can have incredible experiences, we can share the learnings together, and it's not just us telling you how to do OKRs, but you're part of a community. And we've been growing that for some time, and we want to see ourselves double down on that and really have much more interaction and activity. So you might be thinking, well, okay, this is just about getting maybe more customers, or maybe it's about getting an increased number of customers in. It might be about actually having a better product and sort of experience once they're in. The reality is all these points are true. So if I think about some of the problems that we want to address, we don't have enough customers coming in terms of leads because we don't do a lot of marketing. It's something that we're not really been prioritizing to date because we've been focusing on perfecting the model. But now we need to be driving more leads, right? We don't have enough leads. The other part is we don't have enough customer interaction. So we work with the customers, but we want to get them into more of these events where they're working together. So interaction is another problem that we have. We need to solve for that. Now, I could probably go into a few other areas, but this has already helped us frame up our OKR a little bit, although it might not look like it. Because what are the common themes here? Well, really, we want to create an incredible experience. And the experience would be the overarching objective. Now, again, that needs a bit of work to come up with the right wording. But ultimately, this quarter, we want to create an incredible collaborative experience for our customers. Might be getting a little bit closer to what we want to achieve. How do we measure the success of that? Well, it's possibly having an increased number of leads and an increased number of interactions with our customers. The number of times they're getting together and talking and working together. Now, this might be actually enough for our company OKR. It's really light on, and again, it needs to be wordsmithed and we need to put in real metrics. But if we think about the number of leads, we know that a certain proportion of the leads will become customers. And so if we can funnel those leads into those incredible experiences, then we would have achieved that outcome. And so this is where we can get really crystal clear and simple. Below this are all the initiatives and activities that you can take to make this happen. So we might be doing things like having certain webinar events. We might be having customer celebration events. We might be having ceremonies. We might be having intensives where we're all getting together and planning out our OKRs. We're going to work out what are the big things we're trying to achieve as a community. So there's all this really great stuff that's happening, but those are all initiatives, and I can note those down here, but they're not part of my OKR. They're a supporting element. So if this is where I can start to summarize some of the priorities we're working on, then we have a really simple conversation around what does the OKR look like this quarter. Now, for me, when I do this with my team, it's a pretty simple sort of activity. What we do is we follow this template here. And again, there is not rocket science behind this. We get back to what's the problems that we want to solve this quarter. We fill that out. We say, okay, what are those top few things? Again, for us, the problem really came down to wanting to create that incredible experience. And the things that are trying to get, well, really are getting in the way of that is a number of customer interactions that we're having between the customers, but also the number of people coming in to share those experiences. So if we can solve that problem, if we can address those sort of problems there, what will that mean? Well, it's going to be a radical increase in customer satisfaction and engagement and retention. I could come up with a whole bunch of things here. And so those are really good metrics for me to think about my success. And if I was to think about a solution, what would success look like? It isn't about the individual initiatives. It's about the ultimate outcome that we want to achieve. And that's where this template comes in really handy, because we just want to talk about what does that look like? So we've got the customers engaging with each other. We've got regular events, a vibrant community, let's say. Believe me, you're not testing my penmanship here. We're testing the concept. So what we can do now as a team is think, okay, these are some of the core priorities that we've got. That gives us a bit of a focus, but let's just think about what's everything that we've got on our cards this quarter, because invariably there's other things that are on the go that we need to be considering. And we need to think about which of these fit into the priorities and which don't. And so I tend to just drop my ideas down on this chart over here, which really talks about what are our OKR priorities and which ones aren't, which ones are for now, this coming quarter, which ones are coming up in the quarter after that, and which ones for some time in the future. So I hope this has helped you simplify how you set OKRs. Again, pull it up a layer. Always think about what's the bigger picture thing that we're trying to achieve here. What's the overarching problem or problems, and what's the overarching outcome we're trying to achieve. If you can do that, you're going to simplify the number of OKRs you got and get it really, really focused. If I can help you at all with any of this, the best way to get engaged is to check out our OKR community. I'm going to leave some notes in that for the comments where you can jump in and have a bit of a look. But if you do have any questions, we are all ears. Jump in there. Myself and my team are always keen to help, and we will talk very, very soon. Have an amazing day.